Welcome to the Honest Health Podcast with your host, Jeffrey Burke. Honest Health brings you the brightest minds in the natural products industry, as well as athletes and entertainers. Jeff will keep you entertained and informed while educating on how to be successful on your healthy journeys. Now, here's your host, Jeffrey Burke.
Hello and welcome back to the Honest Health Podcast. My name is Jeffrey Burke. I'm so glad you're here. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to the platform. If you've been following me for a long time, so many of you were on my radio show platform for decades. Now we're doing this and I'm loving it. It's great. I think that it's really providing people with a platform that they can go to, listen to, talk about, bring their friends in as well. And you can do it at your time. You know, you don't have to be sitting in front of a radio like we did before. You know, I still do a lot of radio, but this has kind of taken me to the next level. And I think after 40 some years on the air, it was time for me to kind of update and embrace technology, as I was told. So thank you for being here today. My guest today, I think you're going to really enjoy this. Is going to be a really positive and kind of like a show that's going to give you a whole bunch of inspiration. And I think you're going to really enjoy this. My guest today, Brian Mosier, is here with us today. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how are we doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm going to give people a little bit of your background, if you don't mind, because I want them to know a little bit about you. And then we're going to have at it and have a great conversation.
Sounds great.
Brian began working at Get Healthy in 2006 and immediately became enthralled with the natural industry. Since then, he's been promoted to senior sales associate, store manager. In 2017, assumed the role of general manager responsible for store operation. Brian has become the host of Get Healthy's radio show, The Natural Way, where he has had the pleasure of interviewing industry legends like Terry Lemerond and Jordan Rubin and Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum and many others. Throughout his career, he's volunteered to help the SENPA organization at trade shows and other events. As of 2023, Brian was asked to be part of the emerging leaders of the natural industry, and as of 2024, became a member of the SENPA Board of Directors. He's well known throughout the natural industry for his in-depth knowledge, education, and represents Get Healthy at many events and conferences, both regionally and nationally. And I definitely welcome him to the show. So thank you for being here. This is great.
Thank you. Well, it's odd for me because normally I'm on the other side and I'm the you. So I was going to say, I get to add your name onto my radio show within a couple weeks. So
Yes, you do.
We'll be swapping seats at that point.
It'll be fantastic. I wanted to say something at the very beginning. You know, a lot of us older individuals, you know, the old chair in the room that's been around for a long time. I'm 45 years now.
It's the words of wisdom.
Yeah,
you know
I guess
at the end of the day, you guys bring so much wisdom, and we wouldn't have an industry without you all. So let's not discard all that you've done for us.
Well, and taking that to the next level, as we are maturing in the industry, it is so nice and refreshing to know that we've got people coming up with us and behind us that are going to change and help to really bring the industry the rest of the way, or the next third of the way, or quarter of the way. Because as we've made many changes, there's always new technology, new philosophy, new discoveries. And it's so nice to know that the industry is in great hands with people like yourself.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think that's something that I got very passionate about. Seeing as I kind of took on a leadership role at such a young age in the industry. And then within the last couple of years, like you mentioned in my bio, I joined in slowly into SENPA. I've been fully on board and embraced SENPA for many years, but a leadership role in that aspect kind of was new. And the main concept with like the emerging leaders that I got a part of was because of that very question: is what's going to happen to our industry if, the wiser generation is phasing out, but then there's nobody there to take over the mantle or carry on the torch. And that was a very passionate subject for me, because a lot of the rooms I would go in, I was the youngest person and really the only person in my age group that was in those rooms. And for me, I was like, I've seen the industry in the past almost 20 years of being in it completely change. And I feel like the stores that have successfully embraced some of those changes without losing the core root of who they are has been super successful. As sadly, we've seen some stores just not be able to make ends meet and have to close. And whether that's because they didn't embrace technology like you were talking about, or because of the fact that, they didn't cultivate or really stoke a fire under a younger generation within their own stores, they didn't have anybody to take over those locations. And, it's really sad when you see those doors close. And we didn't want to see that happen to the industry in general. We're always going to have a natural industry, hopefully, but we want to make sure that we still have that integrity, the education aspect, the passion, that wiser generation created. And we need to make sure that we have a younger generation that feel that same passion. So it's such an honor to, before I even became a SENPA board member, be a part of the emerging leaders, because I think there's a lot of us out there, but I think there's a lot of, I guess some people don't have as much gumption as I don't want to say I knocked doors down, but I kind of was, if I have an opinion, I voice it. And so I think there was a younger generation of people that kind of felt like maybe they weren't welcome in those rooms, or they didn't have the confidence to maybe kind of say, hey, pick me. I have some opinions. I have some ideas. So I think that concept of the emerging leaders really opened some doors within SENPA, for example, that then led for me now to be on the board. And I think that's something that we need to encourage across the industry, not just when we're talking about organizations like SENPA or, brick and mortar stores. I'm talking about reps, brokers, even creating natural brands. We need to see this younger generation, be a part of that.
Well, the interesting thing, when I first started, we didn't have technology on our side. We didn't have computers or smartphones. We didn't have Google or anything. We had books, and that was about it. And we were still dealing with the stigma of tie-dye shirts and saging and wheatgrass and patchouli. And it was a rough time. We didn't have any of the hand-on-hand relationships with the medical establishment, and it's taken a long time to get where we are today. And it's a wonderful place where we are today, because now we have so many people in the medical field that are now working hand in hand with us, knowing that nutritional supplementation and diet and exercise and sleep and stress management and all this stuff is a big vital part. It's not just about drugs. It's not just about the pharmaceutical community. It's embracing everything and realizing that all of it has a place. And we actually have a little bit more of that intertwining happening. So it's a really good time to be able to come into the industry. So people that are just coming in now, I'm welcoming them with open arms, saying, look, you've got a candy store of amazing things here to work with, and the philosophies are so much better. It's a great time. Yeah, we did a lot of the work, and yeah, it was a rough road, but boy, was it worth it. And like I said, the energy of the younger group coming in now is amazing.
No, I definitely agree with you. And I think it's something where a handful of years ago, 10 years ago, something like that, I would have said it's very hard to find some open-minded doctors. It's something to where, if I've had at that time customers coming in saying, oh, well, my doctor said they were going to fire me as a patient if I didn't, take X, Y, and Z. And I'll say within the last couple years, I feel like there's been, like you said, there's almost like a door that's been opened, or maybe finally doctors are kind of saying, hey, you know what? These patients really do want to try something natural before the last ditch effort of the pharmaceutical. And, just this week alone, I had a handful of customers come in and say, hey, my doctor told me I needed B complex. Hey, my doctor said I needed, and I was like, you know what? That's a start. At least they told them to come to the health food store and get it, and they're not just going to CVS or Walmart, So It's something to where, I completely agree with you that there's been some type of shift. I don't know if it's just there's something in the air of at least some open-mindedness, even if it's just baby steps. Those are still steps in the right direction.
I do a lot of lectures with doctors today, because so many of them will admit they are their own worst patient, and they're dealing with stress, and they're dealing with insurance companies and craziness. And, many of them are like, honestly, I don't want to do the drug therapy. I want to try something more natural. So I find myself doing a lot of events, a lot of lectures, and, and they're taking frantic notes as we're talking. And I'm thinking to myself, this is getting better. It is much, much better than it was in the past. And, and a lot of the doctors, I'll hear from them, they'll call me and they'll say, hey, my wife is going through this right now. What are there some natural things that we could try with her before I end up having her on a life of medications? And I'm loving this, because it means that the industry is, it's kind of like it's opening, and cracks and crevices are starting to show a little bit more light in these areas. And to me, that's amazing. I'm getting ready in the spring. I'll be going to Expo West. It's going to be my 42nd Expo West. So, I've seen all of them except for the 2 that were closed for the pandemic. And it's always exciting to be able to see what's new, touch base with people, your peeps and all that kind of stuff is fun, but be able to talk to store owners that are, putting up regenerative sections in their stores, that are talking about organic and talking about liposomal products. And, they're all interested because they're digging in and they're researching. And to me, yeah, it is a big social event. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to see what's new, what's trending, and the things that I'm going to end up talking about on the show next year. So I want to see what's coming at us. So it's really a great industry. It's, my friends my age are all retiring. I can't even imagine what that would be like, because there's too much to see and too much still coming.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that's the thing. I have a motto that I was just like, every day if you're not learning something new, you're doing something wrong. And I feel like in our industry, you never stop learning. You never
Yep.
stop. If you start losing that passion, maybe it is your time to retire. Maybe it's just a sign. But it's something to where when you know that you're literally affecting someone's life, hopefully every single day for the better. That's what gets me going and going in the store every single day. And like you said, it's so fun to go to those events and those shows. And yes, it is a social moment, but I love to touch, taste, feel, see what's happening. I'm super excited about this regenerative, organic concept. And I think that it goes to show you that the industry is not getting stagnant and it's not coming to a halt. We're just saying, okay, we've done good all these years, but how can we be even better? And it's something
Love
to
it.
where I just had a customer come in, and it's where our stores are in Florida. We've tried selling produce. They just don't really sell for us. We still have organic, all of that, but it's just not fresh produce. And they came in and they were like, oh no, I get my vitamins from fruits and vegetables and I'm a vegetarian. I'm like, I love all that. That's great. I was just like, but supplements still have a part to play because we're not dealing with the soil and the growing methods that we had 50 or 100 years ago. And, that's why when you go and get some of these tests, you can eat all these healthy foods that you want. I highly encourage it, but you may not have the enzyme activity to be able to break it down. You may not be, you might be getting organic, but is that soil rich in the minerals? That doesn't necessarily mean it is. So, I was able to have a really great conversation with this customer who never thought that they ever needed to think about supplementation because they were on this motto of, well, I'm a vegetarian. I eat fruits and vegetables. Love that. That's great. Keep doing it. But why is your results coming back that you still are low in some of these things? So I hope that down the road in another maybe 40 years, because we are making some of these changes with growing methods and rejuvenative organics and all of that, that we can say that fruits and vegetables are starting to have those minerals and nutrients back in there. But I think we're still in a spot right now where supplementation is much more needed than maybe even some people think.
Well, let me ask you a question. What things change, trends and different things and what people are asking for, what people are checking in the store for. What's the number one thing that people are coming in and asking about in your store?
Oh. Honestly, I had to say most people coming in are like still concerned about viral health, protecting their immune system.
Mhm.
I think that, even though we got over the, scare of COVID and the
Yeah.
reality of it, I think it was a eye opener for a lot of people. And also, let's not lie, we do have a demographic of people who they're not fighting, they're trying to do everything possible to age as gracefully as possible. So I'll say a lot of anti-aging
Yeah.
aspects. So people loving their collagen, loving all of that. And then a big factor is who shops in health food stores more than anyone else, especially in our area of Florida, is an older generation who don't want to be on pain medication and taking handfuls of Advil, things that are going to hurt their stomach. So looking at things that reduce pain and inflammation is a huge factor. So our top
Mhm.
three are definitely going to be, immune support, anti-aging, and, overall wellness, I guess you'd say, especially with reducing pain and inflammation.
Does it seem like I look at the pandemic as giving us one good thing? I think the COVID pandemic gave us people that were now a little bit more open to having conversations about their health and well-being and maybe pursuing a question and getting
Yeah.
an answer. And I think it actually brought people back to the brick and mortar health food stores, and people are coming in. People love to do things online. Everybody, got it in. It got worse with the pandemic, obviously, because I was shut up for a while here, and then I was on the road flying on airplanes with 5 people.
Yeah.
There was nobody on there. So, but I mean, I was back out there because I love doing this. I love this, but I love the availability of Zooms and all that stuff because it kept us in touch. But
Hmm.
for me, I love a face to face. And
Same.
with a crowd, with a group, with the one individual. But I think that a lot of people are telling me they're back to their health food stores again. And I think we did see that happen.
So I will definitely agree with you on that. Get Healthy, the stores that I run, we have two locations, and we were so fortunate that during that time frame of the pandemic, we never closed our doors. And it was something to where there were a few days that maybe I was working completely by myself because, maybe somebody decided that they didn't feel safe working because of the exposures and they have elderly family members. So they decided they were going to take time off work. But, we felt very needed in our community to keep those doors open. And we were fortunate enough to do so. And it was a wild time, but I'll definitely say post COVID, I think people got burnt out on buying online. I
I
think
think
people
so.
actually, there might be a handful of people that are like, hey, this is convenient. I'm going to keep doing it. But I think it was Vitamin Retail Magazine. I did an article with beginning of this year. One of the things they wanted to ask was, if we saw a change in, I guess you'd say, buying habits post COVID. And if anything, we got busier. I think people really realized, hey, one, brick and mortar stores aren't going to be around if we don't buy from them.
That's right.
Two, they missed customer service. It might be easy to click a button and have it shipped to you in 2-day shipping, but they miss coming in and asking, hey, I might have read about this online, but you're the expert. Like, should I be taking this product or is this the best one available? So I feel like definitely after COVID, we had a resurgence of that touch, taste, feel, customer service, wanting to feel like they're part of the community kind of aspect. And I think, like you said, there are people that opened the door to feeling more vulnerable to being able to ask questions about their health. And I, I think it kind of maybe opened the door like, hey, you helped me with my immune health and you helped me get through COVID, but now I'm having a digestive issue. I never would have talked to somebody about this before, but you got me through this. Can you get me through the next step?
Yep.
So I think it definitely helped build some relationships through that process as well.
The interesting thing is, for all those years that I did radio, every year I would do November to February flu and cold. It
Okay.
just the way it worked, and a lot of the shows, that's what they were. And then March, it was allergy season. It always was, always stayed that way. And with COVID and with the pandemic, I had a little bit of that come to Jesus moment, if you will, and a little bit of reality check. And I'm like, you've been talking about colds and flus and infections only during the Christmas season and the holiday and through the winter and all that. What about people that get colds and flus throughout the rest of the year? And we really vividly saw how infections and things like this last throughout the year. People had the mentality that it was going to be warm out, so the hot weather will kill all the germs. Well, we saw with the COVID situation that this continued all the way through all the months. So it kind of got me looking at things a little bit differently, and I had kind of changed my strategy a little bit, and I started thinking, you know what, we need to protect and support our immune system all year. It's not just something we check in and check out of. You don't turn the calendar and go, oh, it's immune time again, and then, okay, we can stop now on this date. And I was guilty of doing it that way. And for me, it gave me a little bit of a reality check and brought everybody else along with me saying, this is not on a calendar. You do it all year.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that's the thing is like the way you described it is kind of like it's not like just breaking out your winter coat. I only
No.
need it for 4 days out of the month, or for Florida, it's 4 days out of the month. No, but 4 months out of the year. But it's something to where I I always talk to people about like, look, I work in retail. I'm around people all the time. Most of the time, people coming in at least one customer out of the day is going to be sick. So there's things I take on a daily basis for immune health all the time.
Mhm.
But I think we're trained because of just modern marketing.
Yep.
Because even if you watch TV and you see commercials, when do they start doing the cold and flu season? During those winter months.
Yep.
So it's something to where, I do think post COVID has made people more aware of, maybe I should take elderberry daily. Maybe I should look at propolis. Maybe there's things that I could do and add into my supplement routine that's not just a, November, December, January, February, type aspect.
Well, I saw a commercial in July this year, and I've never seen it again, but it was so good. And it was a commercial. It was two women. They were having lunch together, and they were outside. And she said, "How are you doing?" She goes, "I can't believe it. I got another one of those summer colds." And she goes, "Summer cold?" She goes, "Nobody gets colds in the summer." And she goes, "Why?" And she goes, "Those are seasonal. You get those during the holiday season." I'm thinking to myself, this is it. And they're talking about this. And she goes, "Yeah." And I started using yada, yada, yada. I can't remember what it was. It was elderberry something. It was kind of a natural commercial. But of course, it was available through your doctor. Crazy.
Uh-huh.
But, she said, yeah. She said, "So I'm going to start thinking about this throughout the year now because it can't just be seasonal anymore. We have to think about it all year long." And it was the only time I ever saw the commercial. It was brilliant. And I thought to myself, this is it. Exactly what I was just
Yeah.
saying.
No, it's true. I mean, it kind of reminded me of the time. This part's a true story. It kind of reminded me of the time that I, decided to stop into a Starbucks to grab a coffee, and these two girls were in front of me, and one of them was like, "What are you gonna get?" And the other girl was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get that Frappuccino." And the other girl looks at her and goes, "I thought you were on a diet." And the girl looks back and goes, "Yeah, but it's liquid." And I had to do
Wow.
everything possible to like not chuckle, but I was like, I guess there's people out there that doesn't really realize that, how calories work just because you're chewing and not eating it. But, you're using that example as the allergy season or, the cold flu season. It's true. People just, oh, well, I don't need it's not cold outside. It's summertime. It doesn't matter. Your immune system's your immune system. You're exposed to germs every single day.
Well, somebody said to me, they go, "But in a health food store, only healthy people go to the health food store." I said, "No, no, no. No." I
Yeah.
said, "A lot of people that are going to health food stores are dealing with health situations. That's why they're there, so they can stay healthy." I said, "Yes, a lot of healthy people shop there, but a lot of healthy people also get sick, and
It's
they
true.
would
And
rather go to the health food store."
yeah, no, it's true. And I think it's something where, I think some of our best employees that we've had throughout the past years and currently today came in with health issues, and they specifically sought us out because they're like, "Hey, I'm having this digestive issue, I'm having this issue." And then they got such good results with whatever they purchased for their issue that they were so in love with the industry after that that they were like, "We want a job here. We want to work here." And it's something to where I think that's the great thing about a health food store is it's kind of like what that the TV show Cheers. It's the everyone knows your name. I think a
Yep.
good local health food store, that's how it is. They know Mrs. Jones and they know this person, but it's for everyone. It's for the healthy eater that's coming and getting their organic groceries or refilling their vitamins and supplements, or it's for the someone that's never like walked in the store before,
Yep.
but they've had an epiphany that they need something for a particular situation.
What do you think is one of the main driving forces today for older people to start thinking of things differently? Because I have a lot of my older clientele now, because I've been doing this so long. When I first started with them, they were younger people, and now they're older people, so they're in their 80s and older. And many of them are just starting to come on board, and I just wonder, maybe they're at the point when they're just tired of the side effects of the meds. Maybe they're tired of just not feeling good. Maybe they're listening to everything. Maybe a lot of my older people that I know are all doing podcasts now, listening to podcasts. And my mother, for example, she's 90, she loves podcasts. So I'm not sure what it is, but I'm seeing not just a lot of the younger people coming in, but I'm seeing a lot of older people looking at the natural products industry from a different angle.
I mean, I think that part of it's kind of like what we talked about earlier is the fact that, I think there was this stigma years
Mm.
ago that,
Yeah.
if your doctor says X, Y, and Z, you have to do exactly what your doctor says. As I feel like within the last handful of years, there's people frustrated. Maybe they've kind of gotten to the point where they've communicated and said, "Hey, I want to try something else," or "I don't like the side effects." And whether maybe they found a different doctor or maybe their doctor got a little bit more open minded, but I've definitely seen an influx of people who's kind of come in because, one of the most common ones is there's a lot of people that don't like the side effects from like statin drugs.
Yep.
And so in our area, we've had a handful of doctors that's gotten a little more open minded, though they come in and say, "Well, my doctor says I'm going to be back on my medication." They're at least being told, "Hey, try omega-3. If you want to try something more natural, try, Reggie's rice." And I feel like that's kind of opened the door for some. And I think there's others who there are a lot more commercials on TV, or there's more radio shows or podcasts, like you said, that maybe just kind of lights that spark.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I do TikToks and things like that, but I'm like the anti TikToker. I don't talk about the trendy things. I'm normally correcting people on, so you might have seen a video about X, Y, and Z, but here's the truth. And I
I
think
love
that
that.
I have, thank you. So I have a lot of people that will come in and say, "Oh, I saw this TikTok on colostrum and it's going to help me with my fine lines and wrinkles." I'm like, no, 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 that's collagen. So, and I'll have to stand there and educate them. I don't mind that. I love any opportunity to have a conversation with someone. It brought someone in the door, but a lot of times it's maybe that misinformation or that click and buy bait sale, that got that idea sparked in their head. But thankfully, instead of just buying it online and possibly, getting a very cheap, crappy product, they came in to kind of ask about that product. And 9 times out of 10, it's not what they're looking for. But within that same 9 times out of 10, they're normally walking out the door with really the product that they thought they would be getting with that one that was online. So I think the internet and, like you mentioned, embracing technology has been a huge help. I just think that a lot of retailers need to make sure that they're pivoting and y- kind of embracing it, not seeing it as the enemy. I think so many people see it as an enemy because they think, oh, if there's ads online or TikToks or Instagrams, people click these ads, they buy them, it's an enemy to us. I think it brings more awareness about our
I do.
industry. And I think we just need to make sure that whoever's staffed in our stores are confident enough to say, you know what, we don't have that product. But you know why we don't have that product? Because of X, Y, Z. But what we do carry is, and hey, some people are blessed with that ability to have that conversation, other people aren't. But it's just making sure that you're utilizing that embrace of technology by an older generation or all generations at this point, and we're using it for our stores.
Well, what I would love you to do, because I didn't tell you I was doing this, so this is something that's going to kind of surprise you a little bit. Every month, what I do is I decide a chain, an individual, a brick and mortar, something that I want to call out as my natural products retailer of the month.
Oh,
And I have chosen your stores for December
oh,
of this year.
thank you,
And
much
I know I
appreciated.
didn't tell you, but I
You
wanted to
did
do it. I
not.
wanted to do it this way. And what I would love you to do is share a little bit of information about the stores, maybe a
Oh,
little
wow.
bit about the history. We understand your philosophy, which is a big part, and you have a great staff and everybody's very knowledgeable. But maybe for people, what I try to do is I try to call out stores that I think are doing it right. I
Thank
think
you.
they're providing information, education. They have a burning passion. And I see a lot of myself in a lot of these stores as well. And because I still have that same passion after all these years. But talk a little bit about the stores, maybe a little history of the store so people can
Sure.
learn a little bit more about them and give the locations of your stores.
Okay, yes, I will give you the details. So yes, the store that I work for is Get Healthy. So there's two locations. They've been around since 1991, and they were created by Karen and Laura, Laura DeWitt and Karen Greenway, who have been in the industry for over 30 years. Karen Greenway is a previous past president of SENPA, and Laura has been deeply involved in the industry as well. And she is now a national educator for Vital Planet. So something where they might have retired from the store, but they're still definitely in the industry. So yeah, I mean, the main store opened in Brooksville, Florida, about an hour north of Tampa. And then within about 8, 9 years, they opened the Spring Hill location. So we have two stores in the same county, about 20 minutes apart. And yeah, so throughout the history of the last 30 years, I've known Karen and Laura since I was a wee lad. And then, like you mentioned, in 2006, I joined the family of Get Healthy. And yeah, our goal, you might know our mission and all that, but our goal really is to be the place of health, wellness, and education for the Hernando County community. And we've never looked at other stores that might be in our area or a county over, or anything like that, as competition. Sure, any store's a competition. Publix can be a competition, but if one of those stores called and said, "Hey, what's a good product for X, Y, and Z?" We always had great rapport to be able to have that friendship. And I feel like, for the most part, I think that's where our industry really grows and thrives on. And I think that's something that Karen and Laura always put as a, not only do we need to be educated and passionate about what we do, but we need to have love even for those other stores, because we're all in this for the same reason. You know, sure, we need to make a dollar so that we can pay our employees and keep the lights on, but that's not why you open a health food store. You're really there to make a difference in people's health, wellness, and really, like you said, join them on their journey throughout life, to have the best life possible. So something that Karen and Laura really just, instilled in me was not just the passion, but, you can't really help your customers if you aren't educated in the products. It's something to where as soon as the employee comes on board, we are sending them into workshops. We're sending them to events like Expo East or Soho, Expo West, and really getting their hands fully immersed into learning about the industry. And it's something to where had Karen and Laura not seen the potential in me at 17, 18 years old, I wouldn't then now be where I am in the industry, and have the honor of being on a podcast like yours, if they hadn't really cultivated that. So it's something to where I'm very proud to be able to, take the mantle and continue on their legacy, into this new time of unknown territory that, we all are very hopeful for and excited for. But yeah, I mean, I truly appreciate that. I mean, we feel like we're doing pretty good, and we're excited.
I think you're doing very good because there's the amount of stores that are out there, and eventually I'm going to get to a lot of them. But I just thought the idea of giving back to the stores
Yeah,
and just giving them a call out, letting them know, you know what, we see you.
thank you.
We respect you. We appreciate you. You've taken the torch on this mission, and you're living it. You're breathing it. You're feeling it. Everything, and that's so important to me. And I think it's really important that people know that that stores are still fighting for them, the customer, the consumer,
Oh,
all the
100%.
time.
It's something to where, something that we do at our stores, we're not afraid to just get rid of a line. And that's not like we don't do that in a willy-nilly way, but it's something to where, when we saw the changes happening with, for example, Renew Life, and it being bought by Clorox, we just didn't like where we saw that company going. So it's something to where we just said, you know what, we need to pull it. We need to find, we can't confidently have a customer walk in here and us say we provide only the best nutrients for your health and wellness, and we're seeing these companies kind of start going down in quality. Same thing happened, after changes happened with, for example, Garden of Life, and it's something to where we are just, I I pulled that line before it was cool to pull that line, and customers would come in and say, "Oh, well, that was my favorite multi." It took work and effort, but you have to have a passion for what you do, and you have to have a standard that you stand on, for your customers to really trust and respect your opinion. And you have to stand there and explain to them why they can't get their favorite multi that they bought for years from you, but you have a better option. You have something that's equal, if not better. Um, and I think there's a lot of stores that they kind of jump on that bandwagon after they see, oh, is everybody else doing this? Wait, is it okay for us to do this? And I think we have been at Get Healthy pioneers kind of in that area where we'll just say, hey, you're not meeting our store standards. You're not meeting these quality standards that we stand for. We're going to have to find a better option for our customers. So that's something that made me really love what we do, in the sense of not pulling companies' lines. We don't want to have to do that. But what I love is that I know every single time I put a product in my customers' hands, it's the best product they're going to be able to get.
Well, it allows people, it's no different. If you're going to a doctor and you're not happy with the doctor, you switch the doctor. If you hire a plumber and they're not fixing anything, you get another plumber. It's the same thing. Like, we have large animals and small animals out here. We have vets that we use. If we're working with a vet and they're just not doing it, it's our right to be able to choose it, but at a store, I think there's a fine line there between being just a warehouse of products and having the passion and the drive and the initiative and the honesty to be able to have the relationship that keeps you honest with your customers
Mhm.
and allows you to feel good about the transaction. Not only are they coming in and learning and leaving with a wonderful product, but you feel good about the product you put in their hand.
100%. And it's one of those things where, we are two small towns. Um, and this is kind of going a little bit in a different direction of other than what we were just talking about. But I always try to tell other health food stores is your answer is always no unless you ask. And I've had people say, well, nobody's going to come to Little Brooksville, Little Spring Hill, and do a lecture. I like to think that we're pretty well known in the industry for putting on some of the best lectures. And,
Mhm.
back when Jordan Rubin owned Garden of Life, we had like a little bit of a hiccup with their company, it was mostly miscommunication. And they were wanting us to bring back their products full force. And I said, okay, the only way I can bring in the products to the level that you want is if you can promise me I'm getting Jordan Rubin. And 3 hours later, I get a phone call. Okay, he said he would come. We had over 300 people come. We had to take the event outside, with a stage and everything out there. And I try to tell these smaller health food stores is maybe the answer is no this time, but it's always going to be no unless you ask. And
That's right.
it's a partnership though. So, now years later, these brands still want to come and do lectures with us and participate with us because they've seen, hey, it might be a small town, but these small stores, they give you what they say they're going to give you. They give you a crowd. They have, you can't just put up a poster board and a sign up sheet and then expect, okay, well, customers, you got to get your team members to be excited about it. You've got to get the customers coming in excited about it. So it's something where I feel like a lot of independent stores could, hopefully grow throughout the next coming years. And, I think like during COVID, post COVID, there were so many like, oh, well, we could do a Zoom, we can do this. I know you're someone who likes to be in the store, you want to be there. And I feel like there were so many stores that got used to hearing that no, that we were one of the first ones that were like, no, 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 we're not going to host you as a Zoom thing. Our customers don't want to sit there and watch a screen. We want someone in store. And, post COVID, we celebrated our 30th anniversary. We had back-to-back lectures, and it just was so, I guess you'd say, invigorating to see the store alive again. We never, like I said, never closed our door, but post COVID, it just wasn't that same energy
Yep.
until we kind of had that 30th anniversary. And we just saw so many customers so excited to see Brenda Watson in the store or this person in the store that we're like, okay, the industry's ready for this again. The stores need to start having these events again.
What's really interesting is to your point, when I was first starting on the radio. Now, remember, I did 42 years of radio shows. So the first 10 years, it was a lot of just me and anybody else I could just hog tie to come on the radio. Now, we didn't have visuals. They had to come in the studio, and then they were able to set up to there. They could call in. I mean, I go so far back that they used to drop a needle on a record for 3 minutes for a break. That's how far back I go. So nonetheless, I just started telling people I want to get all these people on my show, and they're like, they're not going to just come on your show. You're small potatoes. And I said, I'm just going to ask. So I kept
Yeah.
asking. Before you know it, they were all on. And I mean, I have been blessed. I've launched hundreds of lines in the industry. I've had the best of the best. And now that I ended the radio show, now I'm going all back to these people because they still have a lot to say or re-say, and I want them on. So I give them guilt, and now they're coming on my podcast. So it's fantastic. But I've been blessed to work with the best of the best. And I'll tell you what, these are the people that you want. You want the movers, the shakers, you want the formulators, the company founders. You want the people that are passion deep, knee deep in passion because they love what they do. And that's what I want. I want to be able to talk to people that have that, people like yourself, you're just bubbling with passion. And I think it's
Thank you.
incredible because this is what we need. We need to keep this going. Otherwise, it's just going to dwindle and people are going to stop getting healthy and people are going to be like, well, I never heard of that. I never heard of that before. And I'm like, really? We don't
Yeah.
want that. We want to keep visible.
No, 100%. And I think, going back to where I kind of started with mentioning the, emerging leaders. I mean, that's something to where,
Mm-hmm.
obviously I haven't even been on the SENPA board for a year, but, one of the things I'm very much going to be passionate about is making sure that we're still cultivating that so that we can keep that young generation coming with a passion. And it's about that respect of honoring the wiser generation that built this industry because they're always going to have something to offer, but at the same time bringing what we can bring, and which is utilizing technology. I know both Karen and Laura have so much passion for the industry, but I doubt either of them want to pull out their phone and do a TikTok and get it posted before we open the store every morning, during the morning. So, it's something about kind of getting these, whether it's brands or retailers or, whoever it might be in the industry, is where we can meet in the middle and find how we can look at that older generation for their wisdom and knowledge and how they built the industry and keep it. We don't want to lose what the industry was built upon, but then embracing the necessary changes and technology to grow our businesses, to grow our brands, to spread awareness. Because, like we were mentioning mid show, I think that's a big part of why we are seeing more customers and consumers coming into these stores is because they see it online. But, maybe it's a fear of putting their credit card number online and they don't want to do that. Or maybe it's the fact that, like I said, maybe they respect a health food store's opinion, but the light bulb just didn't turn on for them until they saw a, you know, TikTok-y kind of clickbait type commercial pop up that made them say, "Hey, will that collagen make me look 29 again?" So it's something to where I think it's about finding that balance of keeping the passion and the integrity of what the industry was built on, but then, moving it along to a current generation.
Love it. Um, Thank you. You're a blessing, and it's amazing to have you in the field. It's an honor to have you on today. Uh, just a nice congratulations to your store. I just think that this is a nice little accolade. Just letting you know
Thank
that
you.
you're being seen and appreciated. Um, Leave everybody with a thought for the day. Something from you. It could be anything you want, but I always like to have my guests leave everybody with a thought for the day.
Oh, a thought for the day. Honestly, a motto that I live by, and it's a thought for the day, I guess I'd say, is it's the Latin phrase amor fati, and it stands for love of one's fate. And my big takeaway from that, and this is a whole nother subject, but I have eat, breathe, lived health and nutrition my entire life, and still developed bladder cancer this year. We're post surgery. We're on the other side of it, still positive, but it's something to where the motto is amor fati, is love of one's fate, in the sense of everything good, bad, and ugly, all the blessings, all of the things you think are horrible, lead you to where you are in your life. And if you can wake up in the morning and you're happy, healthy, and can love yourself, you know what? The bad stuff was bad, but it built to you who you are. And the good stuff was the blessings that you got to enjoy. So I just have to say, you gotta have to just embrace the fate and love where you are in life.
I love it. Get Healthy Stores, 2 locations in Florida. Stop in and definitely see Brian down at the stores down there. Tune into his show as well. I'll be a guest on his show in a couple of weeks. I'll let you guys know about that ahead of time. Go to my webpage, drjeffreyburke.com. Tap on the Honest Health logo. It'll take you right to Spotify, where you can listen to the audio version. You can also tap on the logo for YouTube, and you can watch the interview. And I think you'll like that even more. It depends on whether you want to watch, or you want to listen, or you want to do both. Please do. This is kind of new to me, so everything that says click, like, love, follow, all that, click them all. So that'll keep you in tune with us. And Brian, once again, thank you so much for being here. Can I have you come back again?
I can. Do you mind if I share our website if they want to check
I
it
would
out?
love that. Please do.
So you can find us at getingethealthy.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Get Healthy Brooksville and Spring Hill, or my TikTok, I believe, is Get Healthy in Brooksville and Spring Hill as well. I don't know. It's our automatic login. So, but yes, follow us, like us, and you can see all about us on our website.
If you're down in the area down there, make sure you stop in the store, say hello, see the store, bring your questions with you, leave with all kinds of great high quality products. I think you'll be really, really pleased. Brian, thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Be well, everyone. Take care. God bless.
Stay tuned for more information from the Honest Health Podcast with Jeffrey Burke. And make sure to check back often for interviews and conversations from the guests we all want to hear from. I'm John the Announcer. Thanks for listening.